If you have ever stood in a drugstore aisle holding a $90 retinol cream, trying to figure out why your skin still looks the same 3 months later, this video is going to answer that question in a way no brand ever will. Egg yolk contains naturally occurring retinol, the exact same compound that $90 bottle is selling back to you at 0.025% concentration. Not a substitute, not a similar compound, the identical molecule. One raw egg yolk delivers 245 IU of vitamin A alongside lecithin, a natural phospholipid that transports retinol deeper into skin than most synthetic carrier bases can. Ancient imperial Chinese beauty records and 17th century Japanese geisha preparation rooms both documented raw egg yolk for the same visible result: firmer, smoother, more luminous skin that held across decades. In 2005, the Journal of Investigative Dermatology published a peer-reviewed study confirming that topical retinol stimulates collagen production and accelerates cellular turnover at a molecular level. Women currently spend an average of $85 to $120 monthly on a product containing less than 0.1% of this compound. You already own the pure version. You were just never told what it actually does or why the other version exists. The year is 1603, a candlelit preparation room in Kyoto, Japan. A senior geisha readies a young apprentice's face using nothing but raw egg yolk, blended with rice bran water, slow, deliberate upward strokes, no preservatives, no synthetic fragrance, just raw yolk, unprocessed, applied directly to skin. The Pillow Book, written by Sei Shonagon circa 1002 AD, and later Geisha Oral Beauty, records both documented egg yolk as the standard preparation tool for skin that stayed smooth, taut, and luminous through decades of heavy theatrical makeup wear. That was not superstition. That was collagen stimulation and cellular turnover, observed 4 centuries before the vocabulary existed to describe it. For centuries, egg yolk, liver, and cold water fish were the primary sources of topical vitamin A, passed freely between women and written into household remedy books. In 1947, synthetic retinol was produced at Hoffmann La Roche, patented, stabilized in silicone emulsion, and repositioned as pharmaceutical-grade cosmetic. The raw source was never banned. It was outmarketed, reframed as something women did out of necessity, not knowledge. Take the compound, synthesize it, stabilize it for a 24-month shelf life, sell it back at 40 to 80 times the cost per milligram of active ingredient. What you can buy for $2 cannot be patented, and what cannot be patented cannot anchor a $500 billion industry. Welcome to Raw Glow Edge. This is where ingredient labels get decoded, skin chemistry gets explained in plain language, and what has been working since long before skincare had a marketing budget gets fully documented with the citations, the compound names, and the exact recipes. Subscribe and hit the bell. This is where the education lives. Pick up any retinol moisturiser you own right now. Find retinol, retinol palmitate, or vitamin A on the label. It appears between position 9 and position 14 on that list, meaning less than 1% of what is inside that bottle is the active ingredient your skin was actually asking for. Cosmetic ingredient lists follow FDA INCI rules, listed from highest concentration to lowest. The The first 5 ingredients make up the bulk of every formula. In most retinol creams, those 5 are water, glycerin, cyclopentasiloxane, dimethicone, and phenoxyethanol, a water base, a humectant, 2 silicones, and a preservative. That is not a flaw in the formula. That is the formula working exactly as the business model intended. Egg yolk contains 3 compounds that each do a distinct job on your skin, and understanding what those jobs are will change how you read every product label from this point forward. Retinol, naturally occurring vitamin A, is the primary anti-aging active. Lecithin, a phospholipid found in high concentration in the yolk, functions as a biological delivery carrier. And lutein, a carotenoid antioxidant, neutralizes free radical damage in the epidermis before it can degrade existing collagen structure. 3 compounds, 3 distinct functions. None of them require a laboratory to access. Now here is what physically happens when retinol meets your skin. And this is the part most people never get explained to them clearly. Retinol penetrates the stratum corneum, the outermost skin layer, and binds to retinoic acid receptors in the dermis. That binding triggers fibroblast activation. Fibroblasts are the cells responsible for producing type 1 and type 3 collagen, the structural proteins that determine whether skin appears firm or loose, smooth or creased. This is not a surface effect. It happens below what you can see in a mirror, which is exactly why it takes consistent use over weeks to become visible, and why one application of anything raw or commercial will not show results overnight. This is where most people get it wrong about the raw version. The assumption is that if something is not in a lab-grade formula, it cannot penetrate properly. But here is what lecithin actually does. Its phospholipid structure mirrors your skin's own cell membrane. That molecular similarity allows it to pass through the epidermal lipid barrier with minimal resistance, functioning as a natural liposomal delivery system. Most commercial retinol serums use silicone as their carrier base, which forms a surface film rather than facilitating true dermal absorption. The lecithin in raw egg yolk replicates what expensive encapsulated retinol technology was engineered to achieve. And it does it because that is what phospholipids are biologically designed to do. Now, here's the comparison that is worth writing down. A standard 0.05% retinol serum delivers roughly 0.5 milligrams of retinol. Per full-face application, 1 raw egg yolk delivers 245 IU of vitamin A with 0 synthetic absorption barriers and a natural phospholipid carrier. Cost per daily application, under 17 cents for the raw version, between $2 and 83 cents and $4 for the commercial serum. The clinical performance data does not favour the expensive bottle. Independent dermatology research never asked you to pay a premium for a diluted version of something you could use at full concentration. In 2005, the Journal of Investigative Dermatology published a 24-week peer-reviewed study with 53 participants conducted by Dr. Sewon Kang and colleagues at the University of Michigan. The finding was precise. Topical retinol at concentrations as low as 0.04% produced a statistically significant reduction in fine line depth and a 44% increase in collagen gene expression, with 0 severe adverse reactions in 91% of participants. This was not a brand-funded study. It was independent, peer-reviewed, and published in one of the most cited dermatology journals in research history. The FDA has classified retinol, vitamin A in its alcohol form, as generally recognised as safe, GRAS, for both dietary and topical application since 1959. That classification has been reviewed and maintained through 6 decades of cosmetic regulation updates without a single reversal. Harvard Medical School's Department of Dermatology confirmed the collagen-stimulating mechanism through receptor-binding studies published in 2018. The research documented precisely how retinol binds to retinoic acid receptors in dermal fibroblasts, triggering collagen synthesis at a gene expression level. That study has since been cited in over 200 cosmetic chemistry research papers, 3 independent institutions, no product to sell, no affiliate agreement, just the mechanism of a compound your refrigerator has had all along. If you are still here, you now understand your skin's chemistry better than most people who sell skincare for a living. Subscribe and share this with one woman who has been overpaying for the diluted version. Quick pause. And I want to name the thing you might be thinking right now, because it is the most common response to this information. Raw egg on my face, won't that smell? It does have a mild scent during the 15-minute application. It rinses completely clean with cool water and leaves no odour. That is the honest answer. If the smell is a concern, adding a few drops of lavender essential oil to the recipe neutralises it entirely without affecting the retinol or lecithin content. Practical problem, practical fix. Now, drop a comment. Have you ever used raw egg yolk on your skin before? Or is this the first time you're hearing that it contains actual retinol? Just type yes or not yet. Every comment signals to YouTube that this education belongs in front of more women and moves this video into the feed of someone still paying $100 for a formula that is mostly silicone. Back in 10 seconds. Now, here is the part that will genuinely make you angry. The global anti-aging skincare market is currently valued at $67 billion and is projected to reach $119 billion by 2030. The retinol and retinoid product segment alone generates $1.3 billion annually in the United States. That number does not grow if women discover that a $2 egg yolk delivers the same active compound their premium serum charges $4 per application to provide. To understand why the raw version stayed invisible for so long, you need to understand how the business model is actually structured from the inside. Under current FDA cosmetic labelling law, brands are legally required to list ingredients in descending order of concentration, but they are not required to disclose the exact percentage of each ingredient. This means a product can feature retinol as its headline active in the product name, in the marketing copy, on the front of the bottle in bold type, while the actual formula contains less than 0.01% retinol by weight. This is not a loophole a handful of disreputable brands exploit. It is standard industry practice across retinol serums, vitamin C brightening creams, hyaluronic acid moisturizers, and peptide anti-aging lines. The law permits it. The business model depends on it. And most consumers have never been told the rule exists. Now, here is why the raw version cannot be owned. You cannot patent naturally occurring retinol. It is a vitamin. It exists in food. It belongs to no corporation and generates no shareholder return. So instead of the ingredient itself, they patent the delivery system. stabilized retinol encapsulation technology, time-release polymer emulsion bases, pH-buffered serum formulas with proprietary preservative blends. They charge you for the architecture around the compound your skin was asking for. The compound itself has been available in its most bioavailable form in every grocery store on the planet for centuries. They made the raw version feel like something your grandmother did because she had no other option, not a choice an educated woman with access to modern science would make deliberately. That shift did not happen by accident. It happened because marketing budgets were bigger than kitchen remedy books, influencer campaigns, dermatologist endorsement partnerships, editorial content written to make kitchen-based skincare sound anecdotal and unverified. The raw version was not suppressed. It was simply made to feel less modern, less credible, less worth trying. And for most women, that impression held until they started reading the actual clinical citations themselves. Before the recipe, I need to be direct with you because your trust in this channel matters more than a clean ending. Raw egg yolk is not suitable for every skin scenario. If you have a diagnosed egg allergy, do not apply this topically. The proteins in raw egg, specifically ovomucoid and ovalbumin, are the same allergens that trigger reactions when ingested, and direct skin contact can produce the same response in sensitive individuals. This is non-negotiable. Do not proceed without confirming this first. If you have active rosacea, open cystic acne, or a recently compromised skin barrier from overexfoliation or a chemical peel, dilute the egg yolk with a small amount of plain aloe vera gel before applying. A 1-to-1 ratio is sufficient to buffer the protein concentration while preserving the retinol and lecithin content intact. Raw egg carries a low but real risk of salmonella on the shell surface. Crack eggs carefully, avoid contact between the shell and the yolk, and always use eggs within 24 hours of cracking. Perform a patch test on the inner wrist and wait 24 hours before applying to your face. This step is not optional. It is a baseline safety practice for any new topical ingredient, regardless of how natural its origin is. Raw egg yolk is not a replacement for medical dermatology treatment. If you have a diagnosed skin condition, eczema, psoriasis, seborrheic dermatitis, or active perioral dermatitis, consult a licensed dermatologist before adding any new topical to your routine. For normal, dry, combination, and mature skin types with no active sensitivity, the evidence fully supports daily use. Here is what consistent application delivers: collagen gene expression stimulation, epidermal cellular turnover acceleration, free radical neutralization in the upper dermis, improved moisture barrier integrity through lecithin's phospholipid action, and visible reduction in fine line depth with consistent use over 3 to 6 weeks. Understanding why each ingredient is in this recipe matters as much as the recipe itself. Once you understand what each component does at a skin level, you can adapt the formula to your specific skin type without following instructions blindly. That is the difference between using a remedy and actually understanding one. For daily use, you need 1 raw egg yolk, 3 drops of rosehip seed oil, and half a teaspoon of raw honey. Combined, these 3 ingredients cost under $4 total and produce enough formula for 12 daily applications. Here is exactly why each one earns its place. Egg yolk provides retinol, naturally occurring vitamin A, and lecithin, the phospholipid carrier that transports retinol through the skin's lipid bilayer. This is the core active combination and the reason the entire recipe works. Rosehip seed oil contributes trans-retinoic acid, a retinol derivative that works alongside the yolk's vitamin A to amplify the collagen-stimulating signal at receptor level, plus a concentrated dose of vitamin C that supports melanin regulation and surface brightening. Raw honey functions as a humectant. It draws moisture into the skin and holds it there, while its natural antimicrobial enzyme activity keeps the application surface clean during the full treatment window. Together, the lecithin from the yolk and the essential fatty acids in rosehip oil create a lipid-rich delivery environment. This matters because retinol is a fat-soluble compound. It absorbs more efficiently in the presence of complementary lipids than in a water-based formula. Most commercial retinol serums use silicone as their carrier base, which forms a surface occlusion layer rather than facilitating lipid pathway dermal absorption. This recipe uses the biology of fat-soluble delivery, the way it was naturally designed to function. To prepare, separate one egg yolk from the white cleanly and place it in a small bowl. Whisk gently until the texture fully smooths. Add 3 drops of rosehip seed oil and half a teaspoon of raw honey. Stir until fully combined into an even consistency. Apply a thin, uniform layer to clean, dry skin using upward strokes from the jaw toward the temples, from the center of the forehead outward toward the hairline. Avoid the immediate eye area. Leave on for 15 minutes. During application, you will feel a mild tightening sensation as the egg protein sets. This is the lecithin layer forming at the skin surface and is the expected biological response. Rinse with cool water only. Heat denatures the retinol compound and reduces its receptor binding effectiveness. Follow with your regular moisturizer to seal the treatment. Use this daily for a minimum of 21 consecutive days before assessing visible results. Cellular turnover and collagen remodeling are biological processes that operate on a weeks-long cycle. Expecting overnight results from any retinol source, raw or synthetic, is a misunderstanding of the mechanism. The clinical studies that confirmed fine line reduction use 24-week timelines. Consistency is the active ingredient that makes everything else work. Once a week, extend this into a full deep treatment. To the base daily recipe, add 1 teaspoon of plain full-fat yogurt and half a teaspoon of vitamin E oil. Plain yogurt introduces lactic acid, an alpha hydroxy acid that gently resurfaces the epidermis by dissolving the intercellular bonds holding dead skin cells to the surface. This physical cell layer removal is critical. Dead cell accumulation is the primary barrier blocking retinol from reaching its receptor sites in the dermis. Vitamin E oil, tocopherol, stabilizes the retinol molecules during the extended application window, protecting them from oxidative breakdown before absorption is complete. Apply the weekly version to the face and neck for 25 full minutes. Rinse with lukewarm water. Do not apply additional active ingredients, acids, vitamin C serums, or niacinamide on the same evening. Allow the retinol and lactic acid to complete their work without interference from competing actives. Total investment for both versions, under $5 across all ingredients. Enough for a full month of daily applications and 4 weekly deep treatments. The commercial equivalent, 0.05% retinol serum plus a weekly resurfacing peel mask. Retails between $90 and $180 combined at any major beauty retailer. A subscriber in Toronto documented 30 days of daily use. No other routine changes, consistent natural lighting for photography. By day 30, she reported visible improvement in forehead, fine line depth and skin texture along the jaw. Not a dramatic transformation, not overnight, but a consistent, documented shift that she attributed to nothing else because nothing else changed. No brand deal, no affiliate link. Individual results will vary based on skin type, age and consistency. But the mechanism driving those results is not anecdotal. It is the same one 3 peer-reviewed institutions confirmed. Let's bring the full picture together. 1603, Kyoto, Japan, Geisha preparation rooms, raw egg yolk applied in slow upward strokes, smooth, taut, luminous skin, documented across decades of heavy theatrical makeup wear. 2nd century BC, Han Dynasty, China, Imperial Beauty Records, vitamin A rich, topical preparations for the skin quality, their texts described as jade-like and resistant to visible aging. 1947, a laboratory in Basel, Switzerland, synthetic retinol produced chemically for the first time. The raw source it was modelled on had already been in daily use for over 2,000 years. 2005, University of Michigan, Journal of Investigative Dermatology, 53 participants, 24 weeks, 44% increase in collagen gene expression, peer-reviewed, confirmed, publicly accessible. 2018. Harvard Medical School Department of Dermatology. The receptor binding mechanism fully documented, retinol binding directly to retinoic acid receptors in dermal fibroblasts, collagen synthesis triggered at gene expression level, cited over 200 times in subsequent cosmetic chemistry research. Today, a $67 billion global anti-aging market built around a compound that costs less than 17 cents to apply raw, from an ingredient available in every grocery store in every country for the entirety of recorded human history. The compound is real, the mechanism is documented, the results are reproducible, and the ingredient is already in your refrigerator. This knowledge was never lost. It was simply made inconvenient to find, outspent by marketing budgets, buried under branded editorial content, and reframed as the kind of thing a modern woman would not choose. The Geisha handmaidens in Kyoto knew. The imperial records of Han Dynasty China documented it. The University of Michigan confirmed it in a peer-reviewed journal. Harvard's dermatology department confirmed the mechanism at receptor level. And now, with the compound names, the citations, the labelling law explained, and both recipes in full, so do you. For free! Without a subscription, a serum, or a product to add to cart. If this video changed how you read an ingredient label, if you will, never look at a retinol serum the same way again. Subscribe and share this with one woman in your life who deserves this education, not just to save money, though she will, because understanding what your skin is actually responding to at a compound and mechanism level is the kind of knowledge that makes every future skincare decision clearer and cheaper. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Every video on this channel is built exactly this way. Active compound identified, clinical citations included, full recipe delivered, nothing held back for a paid version. The next video covers a raw ingredient that has been in your kitchen since last week. Independent clinical studies show it outperforms hyaluronic acid for long-term moisture retention in mature skin. The study confirming this was funded by the same company that manufactures the product it outperformed. The results were published. Almost no one saw them. That video drops next, and what it reveals is even more buried than what we opened with today.